Hi, everybody. I know that with our current unit, it's going to ask you sometimes to do some rounding, especially when you get into the volume of cones and cylinders, where, not cylinders, cones and spheres, because you're going to be dividing by 3 or multiplying by 1/3 or 4/3. So I wanted to make sure that you had a resource that will help you with rounding, because I know a lot of you still have struggles with rounding. So this is a kind of duplicate of what is in my classroom, the poster hanging on my wall. We've got the place values here, decimal here. The tenths place, 10 has 1 0, so it's the first place behind the decimal. Hundredths place, 1 0, second, or 2 zeros has 100, 2 decimal places after the decimal. So here's kind of the visual that I use with rounding. It's kind of thinking of it like a hill. If you're moving up a hill and the place value that you're trying to round has a digit behind it that is between 0 and 4, that number is not big enough to push the rounding number up. But if you get to the top of the hill and you get to a 5 through 9, that number is big enough to push the rounding number up, so it actually increases by 1. Where people get confused is which one is the one that belongs on this hill and which one is the one that you're rounding. So I've got kind of a couple practice problems that I'm happy to do with you, and I'll round to 2 different places for each number just so you can get an idea of what to do in certain situations. So here's our first example. We've got this decimal that we've got as an answer. The tenths place looks like this, so I'm going to rewrite it 3.9738. 10 has 1 0. So I'm going to go one number behind the decimal. That's the 9. This is the number that is either going to be rounded or it'll stay the same. The number behind it is the one that decides that. 7, if I look up at my chart, is on this side. So it is big enough to increase my rounding number by 1. Now, a lot of students struggle with this because this is a 9, which means if it increases by 1, it becomes a 10. So thinking about it like this, write the 0, carry the 1, that means that 3 becomes a 4. Once you're done rounding, everything behind your rounded number goes away. Everything in front stays the same except in a situation like this. So this is actually 4.0, or as if you were in high school student would know that just becomes 4. Now let's take a look at this same number and what would happen if you were asked to round to the hundredths place. So 3.9738. 100 has 2 zeros, so I'm going to start at my decimal 1, 2. This is now the number I'm rounding. That means this 3 becomes the boss. If I look back up at my poster, 3 is on this side, which means my rounding number is going to stay the same. So my 7 stays the same. Everything behind it goes away. Everything in front of it stays the same. So this stays 3.97. Notice the vast difference in these two answers depending on what place value you're rounding to. So let's take a look at our next example. We have 4.2493. If I'm going to the tenths place, 4.2493. 10 has 1 0. So the 2 is the number I'm rounding. The 4 is the boss. If I look up at my poster, the 4 is on this side, which means my rounding number will stay the same. So the 2 stays the same. Everything behind it goes away. Everything in front of it stays the same. So 4.2 is my answer. Now, if I was rounding this to the hundredths, 4.2493, 100 again, 2 zeros. So 1, 2, the 4 is the number I'm rounding. The 9 is its boss. If I look up here at my hill, 9 is over here. So my rounding number is going to increase by 1. So this 4 becomes a 5. Everything behind it goes away. Everything in front of it stays the same. One last example. 8.7496. Here, tenths place. 7 is in the tenths place. 4 is the boss. Can you guess what we're going to round to? Correct. 7 will stay the same because the 4 is on this side of the hill. So these go away. 8.7 is my answer. Hundredths place now, not the 7, but actually becomes the 4. The 9 is the boss. If I look at my hill, 9 is over here. So my 4 is going to go up to a 5. Everything behind it goes away. Everything in front of it stays the same. So I hope that helps you. Feel free to pause the video and jot this down if you feel like you're going to need it. And good luck with your schoolwork.